everyone, I'm Kathy, and I'm here with Shadid Eleazer. He's a Maryland-based U.S. Navy veteran and creator of a business model that was licensed by 17 U.S. states and utilized for a government re-election campaign. Experts and entrepreneurs hire Shadid and his team to help them convert their signature online programs and best-selling books into a license-ready curriculum that's sold to corporations, universities, and government agencies. This content licensing strategy increases recurring revenue for businesses and solves the ever-knowing problem of time for money exchange for his clients. Welcome, Shadid. I'm so glad that you're here on the show today.
It's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to share this time and space with your audience. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So you have such a long, winding history. I've been reading a little bit about you. And let's start out with, so you were in the Navy, and then what happened? Why did you start this road to licensing and that type of thing?
My journey to licensing started in the military by accident through necessity. And I will explain what by accident through necessity means. You see, I was part of the 9/11 response team. So my ship, the USS Kitty Hawk, CV-63, was part of the first responders for the attacks on the World Trade Center. And so with any Navy ship or let's say military in general, there's a type of operational readiness. So for each listener, each viewer of this episode, what I want you to do is to picture your current space around you. So if you're at your office, just think about your desk for a second. So stapler, laptop, let's say printer, for example. Each piece of equipment has to have a certain certification in order to use it in a military context. Now, the system that we use to manage all of our printers, equipment, so on and so forth, was very outdated. It was literally a sheet of paper with a 2-hole punch that was attached to the wall. So it wasn't software involved. But due to the attacks on 9/11, the mandate came out from DC that all battle units had to be fully compliant in order to deal with the present and unknown danger that emerged. And so we received funding for a software package that no one knew how to use. And so this is all going to turn into licensing. So stick with me, ladies and gentlemen. And so
it's sounding government-like here. Okay.
Yes. So no one knew how to use the software. So we all worked 15 to 16-hour days out to sea. This is our standard work day. And so after work, I took the initiative to learn how the software worked. And so I became proficient enough where I learned the software, but I also created more or less a package that allowed for people to get up to speed quickly and get certified. So our numbers within the combat systems first division, so we're the first division of 10 divisions, was our numbers as far as readiness started to go up. So the other supervisors of combat systems 2 through 10 said, wait a minute, why is the first division going up and ours are still the same? What's going on? What's the secret? And so the word began to get out that Eleazer, because we all go by our last names in the military, he created this system that allows for the sailors to get up to speed quickly. So I was assigned to deliver training to the other departments. So when we talk about licensing, let's say the method for solving a problem and packaging that was my first example of licensing. So what ended up happening was all divisions were, let's say, up to speed, and I was promoted. And this is something they never do. And I was promoted, and a new position was created for me to ensure readiness across the department. And since this was a time of war, I earned a Navy Achievement Medal, or what they call a NAM. And that was my first example of licensing. So taking your knowledge, packaging it, and delivering it for value to other organizations and entities is the framework of what we're going to discuss. So that is my earliest experience with licensing, and that's my story.
That's exceptional. That's exceptional. And for them to go out of the box and create a new department or a new title for you to go train everybody, that's saying something. You're a mover and a shaker. So how long were you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy for a total of 6 years.
Okay. And how long have you been out now?
Oh my goodness, I'm dating myself. We're almost close to, let me see, do some quick math here. About 18 years.
Okay, okay. So when you got out of the Navy, what did you do right away? Like besides try to regroup and figure out, life as a civilian?
Oh, that's exactly what I did, was come back, because when you come from what they call a forward deployed Navy overseas, let's say in combat zones, you have to slow things down and figure things out. So after that period of readjustment is what they call it, immediately went into contracting, and also launched a business on the side, which was, it actually still exists, which is career services for military vets that were transitioning. I personally had the most tumultuous transition from overseas Navy into civilian life. And I said, no veteran will have the same fate that I experienced. And so that was what I transitioned into. That led into, let's say, additional licensing examples as I became more experienced as a contractor or consultant, and where I would get contracts extended by providing training packages to organizations that have contracts. So let's say if you landed a contract, let's say, and I would approach you and say, well, have you considered the training behind, let's say, the software you would deliver, for example? And you'd be surprised at how many multi-million-dollar contracts one, let's say, the bid or proposal for installing a software system for 1,000 employees, but didn't consider how are we going to train them on the new system. And so that was something that worked, rinse and repeat over and over again, and creating the training that was ultimately licensed to the contract or the agency itself was essentially helped me write my ticket to major success throughout my career.
Yeah, and it sounds like it was just something that was innately in you anyhow, to have the organizational expertise and the forethought to know how to actually train these people and how to put the system together so that they'll understand the system and actually implement it. So that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you've got that great organizational mind already. And that's what I love about life, is that oftentimes the most successful people were doing what's innately our gift. And, like you said, it was an accidental happening. And yet there we have it, right? So, wow. Well, I have a lot of people who are in corporate, who are book authors, who are content creators. And, I'm so intrigued with what you do. So can you tell me what specific challenges do you help clients solve okay, so say I have a course or I have a book, what specifically do you help them solve? What's the little clip?
Well, when we talk about licensing and what licensing is, and we have to simplify things in order for people, for the light bulb to go off here. And so licensing is giving permission to access a system, an idea, a work of art or creation. And so for an author, for a speaker, for a coach, there's numerous ways for licensing to benefit that particular business. And so if, let's say, creating a blog post was the base of the mountain, licensing is the way that if you're serious about building a legacy around your knowledge, building, let's say, a brand around your experience, and creating recurring revenue on a larger scale, then licensing is the game that all serious entrepreneurs, especially service-based entrepreneurs, place. Now, in order to answer your question, simply, I help experts, entrepreneurs, speakers, and authors to package their content. So you can go to an intellectual property attorney and you can have a course, for example, and they'll shop your course to a university, agency, corporation. But in every licensing deal, there's always going to be a customization. So meaning the slide deck for, let's say, your training course with Harvard University needs to be Harvard Crimson, or Harvard University is going to need for you to read the disclaimer, or legal is going to need for you to update module 5 and add this verbiage in. And so if you're paying a retainer to an intellectual property attorney for content creation, the rate doesn't equal the level of effort that needs to be delivered. And so you're ultimately overpaying for that part of the process. And so what started to happen was that intellectual property attorneys would come and partner with me and say, hey, I have a rock star coach who has a program, it's ready to go, but we must make this program license ready. And so when you create content with a license ready approach, then you ultimately save time, you reduce your overall expenses because you're building with the future in mind, versus what many people do is create content based on their own understanding without the understanding of how curriculum design takes place. And then once they reach the point where licensing takes place, then they have to rework everything. So I save them time, I save them money, and most importantly, outside of the license ready context, I help them understand that their content is ready to exist on a world-class level. The mindset is oftentimes the biggest challenge that prevents smart and talented people from becoming, let's say, licensors of their content at the highest level.
Right, right. They feel like, oh, maybe it's not good enough, right? So what makes it license ready? Is it more like it's a generic, or it's more, I guess, more generic so that it could be mass consumed, and then that would be licensed? But then, like whenever I do a presentation for Simper or for Port, obviously you need your logos and all their stuff on the slide decks, but the actual process would be, it'd be licensed. Is it just more generic? Or explain to me about what you do for licensing to make it license ready, I guess.
Well, let's use a common, let's say, famous example, a public example. And so if we take Rich Dad, Poor Dad, iconic personal finance franchise that has been created, educational franchise. So first of all, if we're going to license Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the mistake that many people make is that they don't have longevity in mind when building their brand. So it may be Rich Dad, Poor Dad in January, and in March, it may be personal finance for entrepreneurs. And in August, it may be how to create cash flow to become, let's say, financially free. So the first thing is going through the market research and the proper testing procedures in order to make sure that you have a winning title that attracts people's attention and people want to consume based on the test, the feedback, the conversion rates, not your own understanding and bright ideas. Next is understanding the content. So developing content for multiple learning types. And so of course, there's people who may need to see the content. There's people who may need to listen. There's people who need to, let's say, go through examples and scenarios. And so understanding who your audience is and how they typically consume content, how other properties and titles within your niche market are also consumed, and creating the content with that audience in mind. Next is the level of professionalism. And so what I always recommend is making sure that your license ready material stands alone. So if you have a website, for example, that is housing your business services, your signature or flagship program should have its own standalone brand. And finally, when we talk about ownership, and so if you create a course based on your own understanding and it happens to be a bestseller, the chances of your content being stolen in some way, duplicated by a parent or larger company, skyrockets. And so understanding how to protect your content is the final piece of that puzzle.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs will change their titles, base as opposed to just sticking with that the core title. So you're recommending that if there is something is licensed, that you said it would have its own domain as well, a standalone as part from their own domain. Okay.
Oh yes. If I'm building a franchise, I'm thinking in terms of longevity. So it needs to stand alone on its own. And so when it comes to domains, that's one area of protecting the intellectual property or the brand itself. Many entrepreneurs, that becomes the ceiling, domain protection, which may mean, well, I'm going to reserve the .com, the .net version, and possibly the .org versions of those domains. And they oftentimes forget other types of protection for their intellectual property. And so domain protection, when we're talking about creating a brand that you can easily identify, that stand out from the rest of the competitors, domains are one way to do so.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you've been an entrepreneur now for several years. Do you have a hack, an organizing hack, or something that you use to keep your business running smoothly, your own personal secret hack that you use?
Yes, it's called the daily gratitude formula. And so the daily gratitude formula was created during a terrible year of my life, where it's similar to a country music song. It just, my dog ran away. It's just one thing after the other. And so times were so low during this era of my life that I was at a coffee shop in the morning, because when I would wake up, it felt like a refrigerator was on my chest when I woke up. It was just a crushing anxiety. And so I would have to get up and go for a walk. And I will walk until I felt, let's say, clear-minded. And so at this particular day, things were just such a storm that I had to write down positive things because the avalanche was so great. And so there's 4 quadrants to the formula. First starts with 5 things I'm grateful for. Next are, so 5 things I'm grateful for could be as simple as the gift of life. And in many cases, when you're starting this process, it's like developing a muscle where when you start out, you may not have as many things you feel that you're grateful for. So you have to start with the basics. And so next are 5 reasons that I am abundant. So that could be the gift of my time in helping someone else. It could be, let's say, listening to someone else's challenges. It could be, let's say, paying the expenses, personal and business wise, and just being able to give time, money, effort, so on and so forth. Next is 5 people who I will share ideas with on this day. So every day, every single day, I reach out to 5 people. And in some cases, it's active listening. Hey, what are you working on? What are you excited on creating? And exchanging some form of introductions, referrals, and getting in the spirit of creative exchange every day. And finally, 5 reasons why today will be awesome. So oftentimes our day is based on momentum. So if you know, drop something on your foot at 6 a.m., it can create a chain of events that leads to what we'll call a bad day. And oftentimes a bad day is based on a moment that we locked on to, a moment that created a strong emotion that we held on to throughout the first part of the day. And it led to momentum that created a bad day. So what happens if you say, you know what, here's 5 reasons why today will be awesome? That could be weather related. It could be, let's say, I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to be on a podcast. I'm going to, you name it. But the key is to claim that it's going to be a great day. So with my particular formula, I write this down. I actually had one of my graphic designers, he created this very nice template. And so I've been using the template for a number of years. And that's my process. That's my hack, secret weapon to help get through the day. Gratitude in itself is a weapon. It's insulates you from a lot, because it's impossible to feel anger. It's impossible to feel sadness. Gratitude and negative emotion cannot, let's say, occupy the same space.
Yeah, they can't. Gratitude trumps it every time. So yeah, I love practicing gratitude. I do it every night as I lay down, recap of my day, what I'm grateful for. And it can be as easy as, I love my pillow. I love my pillow. I love my blankets, so it's like, I agree, it starts out as some people might not have that muscle developed, but once you get used to being grateful for things, and it's the sunny sky thing. And that's a wonderful hack. I so appreciate that. So that leads me to my next question. What are you up to now? What are you excited about? What projects do you have in the works?
Well, after I recently graduated from the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, and this program is rigorous. And so it's 3 months of working on your business versus in your business. And so they designed the exercises to be so time consuming that you must learn to delegate and outsource in order to make it through the program. And so right now we're focused on hiring and building out our org chart. Hopefully within the next 6 weeks, we will bring on up to 17 members. We're focused on the build out of the Content Licensing Academy app. And with that app, that's going to focus on creating the most comprehensive licensing resource on mobile devices. And so it'll have an encyclopedia, a number of case studies, and it'll be the location where my audience, who has stuck with me all throughout the years, can get access to my longer form content. And I'm doing less with, let's say, social media, and more investing into community, where people who support my work either through time and attention or financially can get the best that I have to offer, all on their smartphone. And also on the philanthropic side, we have a number of projects that are coming up, ranging from an initiative where we help young underprivileged youth to gain access to passports, and help them with the introduction to early travel. And there's a number of things in the works as far as our classrooms campaign, where we modernize underperforming or underfunded classrooms and provide 21st century learning environments. So I would say the next 2 to 3 months will be very busy, but excited about what is to come.
Very, very exciting. And I commend you for going into the program. I think it's really funny that Goldman Sachs made it so that you would have to delegate in order. So that's part of their training anyhow, I'm sure. So it's like, you
Yes.
better do it or you're not going to be able to handle it. Yeah, I have a girlfriend who's just into a major program like this as well. And, delegation's what it's what it's all about, right? So that's exciting. I love the fact that you're teaching also or helping young kids learn to travel, because I think that the more, and from being in the Navy, my husband was in the Guard, the more places that you see, just the better you are as a person, the more that you have to give back, because now you understand other people much more easily than just being stuck in your little burg for all your life. So that sounds like fantastic. You have so much stuff in the works. So you've been doing this for a while. Do you have a lesson? Would you say that what's the main lesson that you have learned throughout the years of being an entrepreneur?
The main lesson that I've learned with being an entrepreneur is the importance of cash flow by any means. And what I mean by this is when you interview, let's say, 100 entrepreneurs and you ask them what's the most important thing about running a business, you'll get a wide range of answers. And if your business has not found a way to generate cash flow, then that's all you need to focus on. We often well, I need a website, I need business cards, I need this, I need that. And you need to focus on creating an offer that sells or a product that is generating income every day for your business. And this is not popular entrepreneur advice, but if you are struggling with cash flow, meaning you are a full-time entrepreneur and you're broke, or if you're struggling to make ends meet, get a job and build your business on the side, or freelance and build your business on the side, or use, let's say, apps such as Uber, or let's say other alternative means to allow you to keep working on your goal or your dream while you're generating cash flow. Yeah. Entrepreneurship in itself should not lead to you filing bankruptcy. It should not lead to you maxing out your savings. It should not lead to you maxing out your credit cards and damaging your credit. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I did learn, is that your business should operate separate from your personal income and your personal life. And so when you understand funding and increasing your fundability, your access to capital, and you separate the two, then you have a greater ability to do that. But most of us, we start from where we are with a limited understanding of what a business actually is. And we max out everything we've worked hard for and in the journey to build a business. And so that would be the greatest lesson. Do not allow pride to let you set yourself back. Go to work if you need to, especially during these times where so many people are making adjustments. If you need to work part-time in order to make ends meet, or to give you enough time to pay the bills until clients come in, then there's no shame in doing so. And it's something that I recommend.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And having multiple streams of income is always a good thing, because cash flow is the key. If you don't have the cash flow, you can't do your business and you can't follow your dream. So I like that. And you're right. Not very many people say that to entrepreneurs. And with the great resignation going on right now, I think it's good for people to know that they can do more than one thing at the same time. They can work on this side. They can freelance. They can be consultants. As they're launching, they can, use whatever skills they have to make the money, as opposed to saying, oh, I need to invest in a graphic designer and build a website. Well, let's get a couple clients first, right? Absolutely. Okay, so do you have a piece of advice for entrepreneurs who are out there jamming out and they want to create more freedom? Freedom is a different term for many people, but if they want to have more free time for themselves or more freedom in their business, do you have any tips or advice that you would suggest for them to do?
Well, if you want to create more freedom in your business, you have to start with packaging your knowledge. And so the internet, ladies and gentlemen, is always open. It's always open. And so, for example, my greatest selling digital product was recorded after a panel event. I literally had a sore throat. I was under the weather, but I was inspired by my hero at the time. She bought me a Mountain Dew soda and said, "I love your talking points." This is verbatim. And so I was so inspired that I went back to my room and I recorded what became my greatest selling digital product. And so during chapter 3 of this digital product, you can literally hear the housekeeping next door vacuuming the room next door. So my point is that this was not a perfect digital product.
Yeah.
It was recorded in a hotel on, let's say, there used to be voice recorders that I would use for interviews that I recorded it on. I published it, and nowadays it still generates sales. So what this means is that you, as a service-based entrepreneur, have problems that can be considered evergreen, meaning millions of people are searching for them every day. And so when you separate your, let's say, your knowledge from your time spent making money, then it allows for you to create income on autopilot. And so if you want a lifestyle that you deserve and more freedom in your business, then you have to find a way to earn money while you are asleep. And the way you do that is you create digital assets, package your knowledge, package your brain. And you can start with beginner content. Do not fall into the lie or the trap that my content isn't good enough. All you have to do is provide the beginner basics of your, let's say, niche or topic, or let's say provide a topic that is within that people are already searching for, and create content consistently. So instead of creating a blog post, for example, create a mini digital product and allow for those products to always work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And we're all experts in some regard. And the fact that, you don't get stuck in perfection. I say this all the time. Perfection is overrated and simply not worth it. And the fact that you could just record something and now it's one of your most popular selling money generating products. There you go, folks. You don't have to be perfect. And that's something that's so important. In fact, perfection, who wants to be perfect? I mean, who wants to listen to perfect anyhow, really? I love that. So, okay. So that leads us to your valuable free resource. What are you going to have, or what are you offering for our listeners here that will help them catapult their careers?
Well, if we are discussing freedom and we're discussing how to get to the freedom that we desire and seek, then you need a roadmap, because if you're starting where you are and you have a goal to get there, you're going to spend a lot of time spinning your wheels if you don't know the forward path. And so the digital assets execution plan provides you step-by-step guidance, and there's a support feature where you can use either Facebook Messenger or direct message in order to reach out and get support on how to package your knowledge and escape the time for money trap by using and creating many digital products in order to generate that cash flow that we've discussed, in order to have availability for the people and moments that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to download that. I could talk to you for hours and hours, I'm telling you, because you're just fun to talk to and you're
Thank
so
you.
very knowledgeable. So what's the one question that I should have asked you? We've talked about a lot and I feel like I could talk to you again and again and again, but what do you feel? What's the one thing I should have asked you that I did not?
The one question that you should have asked that the audience would benefit from is, why should they start to enroll students instead of chasing clients for their business?
Hmm. Okay.
And so, what we have to realize as service-based business professionals, especially, is that clients in today's world are under unique pressures that they've never faced at any other time in history. So there's an economic, let's say, squeeze on clients. There's also health concerns on clients. There's also supply chain disruption on clients. So the people who are paying you that sustain your lifestyle, great clients, they are playing a balancing act where should I pay this person versus that person? This is a very unstable way to run a business. And so what I recommend is that you create digital programs in order to enroll students. And the reason why you enroll students is because when someone's a student and they come into your university, they're, first of all, they're making an investment or commitment into your program, into your, let's say, solution that you have. And so a student can go many different paths. They can become upperclassmen, for example, and enroll in different programs. They can become an alumni, which is a great endorser of your programs or services. They can become a booster, which is someone who ultimately invests in the growth of your company. They can become a sponsor where they partner and affiliate with your products and services and help you make more sales. And they can also become a high ticket client. So if someone comes in and they gain value from your coursework, which is always working for you 24/7, once you create it once, you can sell it forever. And those individuals, there may be a few who say, well, you know what? I went through your programs and I want the VIP option of what you offer. And so, similar to a flight, for example, if there's going to be 100 people who fly coach, for example, there's always going to be 20 people of that 100 who want the first class experience. And so it's better to use your digital programs to pre-qualify those who will ultimately join your higher ticket programs than to try to convince people who, through becoming a client, that they're worthy or ready for your high ticket programs. Because at this time, many clients may have struggles with paying you what you're worth or being ready to work with you at a higher level. So my recommendation is to stop chasing clients and start enrolling students.
I love that. Ooh, that's good. All right. We're going to put that on the blog, on the podcast page for sure. Well, we've been talking today with Shadid Eleazer. I'll tell you what, I have learned so much. And like I said, I could speak with you forever and hopefully we'll speak more in the future. But I really, really appreciate your time and your energy today, and have fun with your course, finishing up your program. And for anybody who wants to hear more, you can go ahead and download the podcast. You can click to download his free valuable asset, and also look him up online. You will find a lot of very interesting things about Shadid. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate your energy that you put into this interview.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Shadid. Hey, Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.